Morning boys and girls, hope you're well. Well, today I come down 2nd Avenue. After keep pulling to that clay the other day, or whatever it was at Scrapby, I thought I'd have a bit of a easier session. But yeah, there's still a good bit of swell rolling in here. That looked quite nice, really lovely for bass fishing. So after all that clay malarkey, I thought I'd come here, have an easy session for a few hours and fish the last 2 or 3 hours up to the high water. Well, bait wise is lug. That's the lug I bought a couple of days ago. That's the other 50, so well, perfect they are. To be honest, fishing for bass you want lug, rag or peeler. That squid was a bit of a waste of time, but ayo, is what it is. Let's get this baited up. Trace wise is the same as the other night. Single clip down paternoster with a 2-0 pennel on the end. Plenty good enough for anything we're going to get round here. And obviously the second hook just to hold the baiting position so it doesn't all got a big blob in the bottom. That's ideal. Well, I better get this baited up and get it out. Can't catch nothing on the beach, can you boys and girls? When I went down Scrapby the other day, I parted off on the last cast on one of the rods. I saw it was hefted on that clay on the bottom, and as I parted off I reeled in and felt the line, it was all quite badly abraded. Well, I didn't have quite enough line of the stuff I wanted to put on the reel to re-spool it, so I stuck one of my old sloshes on. That's the first time I really used it on a beach caster. I bought it for uptiding. I cast out 2 methods. One of them I cast 30 yards out well up tide in case there's a lot of weed about, and the other one I just flicked out about 40 yards straight out. And look, oh, there's a fluffy seal on me. Where's that gone? There's a big old seal there straight away. Trust my luck. Well, that's the first cast with the old slosh on the beach caster, and I was quite surprised how smooth and nice that cast. I had the old 7HT mags for about 15 years, and I always thought the old sloshes would be a bit rugged, but to be honest, that cast out lovely. Quite surprised. I might give it a little bit more welly next time. But I'm quite surprised. Someone said they're not making the sloshes anymore. Well, them ones only a few months old, they're like new, and I used them a couple of times in the river. But if that's the case, I might buy another couple of them just to keep in the old back burner, because most modern reels, they don't seem to be as rugged, namby-pamby old things made from crappy plastic. So I might buy a couple of them sloshes just to collect dust on the old cupboard, you know how it is. I just reeled in the first rod just to have a quick look and see what the weed was like, and to be honest there wasn't hardly nothing there. There's a little tiny bit on the leader knot, hardly nothing. I was really surprised. In fact, I was bloody chuffed when I saw that. I don't know if you can see there's a little tiny bit like the old seagrassy stuff coming up the line, but there's hardly nothing there. Compared to down Scrap the other night when that was a weed fest, that's bloody lovely. I think I got a bite on one rod and I'm going to reel in. If I ain't got nothing there, at least you'll see how much weed's on it, eh? Well, that's blank over. First one, lovely job. Just how you want it. You always got to be chuffed for the first one, ain't you? That's only a little old thing, but I'll get it unhooked and get it back so I can fight another day. And as you can see, there wasn't a lot of weed, was there? A little tiny bit around the leader knot, but you can live with that. There's certainly differences in the slosh compared to the old mag. God, the cranking power in that slosh is a lot stronger than what the old cranking power is a little old lightweight 7HT is. God, that crank it in bloody lovely. give them as dues, they are a good reel, them slosh. They're a bit basic and old hat, but they work well, don't they? Obviously like rough ground and that sort of thing, they're ideal, aren't they? But to be honest, I find them pretty good so far in the last few casts. Very happy with it. The second cast on the old slosh weren't so much fun really. Just I tried to reel in and that was hefted. I give it gentle pressure for about a minute or so and finally dink. I thought I'd lost the lot, but luckily I didn't. That just come free, so I got all the gear back, the hook weren't bent, everything was fine. So baited up and straight back out again. This time I was going to catch a £6 bass, I reckon. Fingers crossed. And there's another one. Still in a little old basslet, little old schoolie. I can't seem to get through to the bigger ones. Plenty of little old fish, but nothing of any size. At least they're ever so easier on the hook. Now I'll go get that back, let it swim another day, poor little bugger. And finally I got one on the other rod. It's the first one I had on the rod with the slosh. The other couple of fish have all been on the other rod, so yeah. They don't seem to be getting any bigger, all little old things, nothing of any sizes unfortunately. I just can't seem to get through the small little schoolies. I suppose really there's thousands and thousands of little schoolies and less as they get bigger in a higher weight class. It's just life in it, numbers game. The one positive is there isn't much weed to bait today. That's the most weed I've got, that is, and that's just rode up the line with the wind. Bit of old bladder rack. I suppose I better get that off, can't leave that rattling around, can I, like a Christmas tree. I started the last hour of the tide. It's looking superb conditions. Let's hope we get a few more fish and bigger ones. I'd love to get something a bit bigger on the old schoolies. Oh, they're lovely to see, but you want one bit bigger now and then, don't you? There was another angler down here, but he's gone him now. I saw him keep one fish, but I won't really keep that good eye on him. Seems surprising to go before the end of the tide, but maybe he'd used all his bait, blah blah blah, or had a couple of keepers, who knows. People go for different reasons, don't they? Well, this is something you don't see very often. 2 bass on a pennel. That bass is hooked on the top hook, and that one is foul hook through the back on the bottom hook. You don't see that very often, do you? Well, better get these unhooked and get them back, poor little sods. Like they're tough as old badgers bass, but 2 on a pennel can't be bad. I don't know what's going on, but I just seem to be inundated with seals. There's one just come up. There's a big bugger earlier, and now a small one's just come up, going through. Wherever I seem to go, whether it's boat, on the beach, I just get seals following me all the time. They bloody haunt me, the friggin' things. That was only a little diddy one though, I wasn't very big at all. But they do seem to haunt me wherever I go. And this time, I've only got one. Bit bigger, nice to see, but strange. Earlier, all the fish were on the left-hand rod, and now I'm getting all the fish on the right-hand rod, and nothing on the left-hand rod. Can't make it up, can you? Well, it's about half an hour to high water, so I'll get this back, get baited up and back out again. Can't catch them when your gear's on the beach, can you? And another little basslet to the right-hand rod. Can't seem to get one on the left-hand rod now. One thing I've noticed is that was hooked. That was hooked on the top hook, not on the bottom hook on the pennel. What's the case a lot of the way? A lot of the time it's hooked on the top hook of the pennel. Well, now I get this back, let it swim another day, and hopefully this big mum or dad will come along, because I keep catching these schoolies and deserve a bigger one now and then, surely. Well, that's 5 minutes past 12. The book said that's be 11:45 the high water, and as always I started to leave the beach already. Typical. A lot of the time that leave the beach before the tide's finished, so the surface is still flowing one way, but on the bottom that's doing something else. You often find that a lot in the boat. That can be slack water on the surface and when you're hauling, you trail them with the ropes or nets or whatever. So that's obviously depend on the depth of the water. But tide's a funny old thing. But the conditions still look good. I've got a few worms left, so I've got to stay and fish the first R going down, haven't I? I'll be daft not to. Well, one of the rods just bent round. That's a fish not picking up a weed. I only got bloody excited then, didn't I? Turned out as a big lump of plastic, like a 3-4 foot bit of sheet of plastic. I got halfway in and then come off. So you get excited, the rod went plastic. I'm just gonna keep catching pasties, ain't I? Pasties? That's carp fishing days. Schoolies. Well, starting to get low on bait now, but I'm still putting a couple of lug on. What self-respecting bass wouldn't want to eat that? Nom nom nom, you little shiny bassy buggers. I just wish I got something a little bit bigger. I just can't get through the small ones. Bit disappointing really. Just seen other people get plenty of big stuff all over Facebook, etc, etc. But I just can't seem to get through the schoolies. The one I just cast out is now rattling away. Go on, give us a big one. Well, whatever it was, got away with that one. Look at that, I got caught on the top hook and hammered it. Been up there about a minute and a half. Sneaky little bugger. That's about just about an hour and a quarter after the tide changed. And I ain't had anything since the tide changed, just gone very quiet. I thought I had a little knock last cast, started knocking around, but I think that was a bit of weed on there caught in the swell, but yeah. But since that tide change, it's definitely gone quiet. Alright, I won't get nothing big, but as a steady stream of little schoolies and that sort of thing. Pleasant enough to catch, aren't they, really? Alright, I'd really like something bigger, but don't we all? But that's life. But I ain't got many worms left now. I'm down about half a dozen worms, I think, so another couple of casts and that'll all be done and dusted. That's the last 2 worms I got, so this cast has got to count. Come on fishies, give us a big one. I don't mind catching them little ones, I've had enough now, I want something a bit better. Well, that's how dripping all his juices out, so I better get that out. If not, I'll be an old flappy bit of skin time to get there with me yarning. I just took one rod down, obviously I ran out of bait, so I'm now going to reel the last rod in for the last time. And as this is the last reeling, I'm going to record it. Probably got nothing, but fingers crossed all that lot. This is the last chance I've got of getting a good fish. Not looking good, but here we go. You couldn't actually make it up, could you? Look at that. What a lovely fish. Couldn't make it up. Last cast, smashing fish. I imagine that's probably about, well, it's not huge, it's probably about £5.5, or getting that way, £5. But I'm happy with that. Over the moon. What a lovely fish. You couldn't make it up on the last cast, could you? Last chance saloon. Pretty lightly hooked in the lip. Hooked well. Okay. That's out. But what a lovely stunning fish. I'm over the moon with that. Absolutely chuffed to bits. Well, I can't really beat that now because I've got no more worms left. But yeah, I'm chuffed. Well, I'll get this back, let it live another day. Commercial fishing is different to pleasure, and I don't really need it, so I'll put this back and I'll have a steak for tea. Brilliant, superb. Well, as that was my last cast, so I ran out of bait. That's it. Cool. So many times you have a lucky last cast, and very, very, very rarely that pay off, and that time that did. I'm over the bloody moon. Finally got a half decent size one. That swam off ever so strong. That was lovely to see. Oh, I'm over the moon. I really am. Well, that's it, boys and girls. I can't beat that because I've got no bait left. So I'm now going to call it a day. Everything's packed away. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. And catch you later. Bye.